Hello everyone, I'm Rafael Alvarez and this is Alvarez Metalworks. Before we get started today, I wanted to give a special shout out to my channel sponsor, RorikSupply.com. They've been a tremendous amount of help to me when it comes to producing these videos for all of you. Check out RorikSupply.com. They have flap discs, cutoff wheels, grinding wheels, welding blankets, drill bits, burr bits, welding helmets, roll-lock discs, you name it. The list goes on and on. Use coupon code METAL, save yourself 10% off anything that you order from them as many times as you choose to use that coupon code. That's my thank you to you for supporting my channel. With that being said, let's get to work. I'm back everyone. I apologize. I know it's been months. I'll explain it in a follow-up video. This video is about Evolution Power Tools EvoMag42. Evolution contacted me at the beginning of summer. They sent me out the EvoSaw 380 as well as this drill for me to test out for you guys, use up my videos and tell you guys what I think of it. And I couldn't be more pleased. I've always been on the fence about getting a mag drill. I've always been like, man, they're kind of expensive. I know of a few projects that I would use it on, but I was unsure if I would really use it, you know, if I would spend a lot of money to have this thing collecting dust in the corner of my shop. And I was wrong. I use it all the time. I've used it so much that I've hardly ever used my drill press or my hand drills anymore. It's just that good. So with that being said, full disclosure, I've never used a mag drill before, so I'm not comparing this to other mag drills because that's not a fair thing for me to do because I haven't used them. I've seen them, I've handled them, but I've never used them. I'm comparing it to my experience with hand drills and various different grades of drill presses, ranging from your hobbyist benchtop to your standalone, big, super heavy-duty industrial drill presses that are, you know, require 480 volts to power them. Really big, heavy-duty pieces of equipment, and I can without a doubt and very confidently tell you that I'm extremely impressed with this drill's performance. If we had this at my day job, I would build a stand for it and I would use it over our industrial drill press in there because it is so powerful and so strong. For those that don't know about mag drills are designed to use annular cutters, and I'll show you those a little bit later in the video. But the EvoMag42 also comes with a three-jaw chuck attachment so that you can use your twist drill bits, your hole saws, as well as I have some carbide cutters that I use in this video so you guys can see those as well. So I'm going to compare those. My opinion on the performance of those is going to be based off of me using those types of twist drills, hole saws, and those carbide cutters in my drill press, as well as the drill press at my work. Obviously annular cutters, unless I go get some special attachments, you can't use them in regular drill presses, so I can't really tell you, you know, performance difference between the mag drill and the drill press in that department, but with the others I can, and I will. So with that being said, let's get to showing you guys this drill. Hey you guys, so here's the EvoMag42, real stout mag drill. You know, like I said, I've never used one before. I've seen some in like the welding supply store and whatnot, and build quality wise it seems pretty solid. Doesn't feel cheap at all, not even in the slightest. So let's quickly run down the specs that show up in the manual. This is a US 120 volt version, so 120 volt for those of you guys that typically call our outlets 110 volt. That's what they're talking about. 110, 115, 120 is typically a good range for household electrical sockets. So that's what this is used. That's what this is made to use. They do have a 240 volt version of the motor. That draws 5 amps. This one draws 10 amps. It spins at 450 RPM. it is only one speed. It's not a variable speed or selectable. You don't have the option to select speeds with it. I don't know if any of the other mag drills on the market allow you to do that, but 450 RPM is actually a really good RPM to use annular cutters and to use like a carbide hole cutter, or even when you're using a traditional hole saw. It's a good speed. You don't want to go too fast with a lot of that stuff, because ultimately what you're going to do is just burn the metal. You're not cutting at that point, you're just kind of aggressively attacking it. The power cord length on it is 8 foot 2 inches. The overall weight of this thing, it's saying that it's 26 pounds. I don't know if they weighed it without the chuck on it. It doesn't really matter. The thing's stout. It's you know, that just should give you an idea of how much this thing weighs. I'm sure that if you got different size cutters, or you're using the tree jaw chuck, or if you have the coolant reservoir attached to it and it's full of coolant, the weight's going to vary. So that's a ballpark idea of what the weight is. The thing is pretty large. I mean, look at the size of my head. Is enormous. This thing is a really big. Seems like a very well built piece of equipment. I've never used one of these before, but I've seen mag drills in person at like the welding supply shop, and it doesn't seem like it's a cheap version of one of those. It seems like a good quality build. Some of the other specs are, it's claiming a maximum annular cutter capacity of 1 5/8 inches. Now, when I received this, I went out and immediately purchased a set of annular cutters because I didn't own a set of annular cutters and I've never used them before. This set is a budget-friendly set that I got off Amazon last second. I'll put a link down in the description where you guys can find that. The sizes range from 7/16 up to 1 1/16. The sizes are basically, if you had a wrench set and you got 7/16, and then it jumps up to 1/2 inch and so on and so forth, all the way up to 1 1/8 inches. That's what you can expect, and it's for the sake of not counting this, 13-piece set. So I went out and purchased this, but it only goes up to 1 1/8 or 1/16. So I don't know how well it will handle doing annular cutters that are larger than 1 5/8. I do know that it also says that the maximum twist drill size is 1/2 inch. And I have this silver indenting drill bit set here that I got from Harbor Freight, which is actually fantastic. These are really good. I've run the 5/8 drill through it, and it handled it no problem. So I don't know if that's just a maximum recommendation based off of not overloading the machine, but the thing's super powerful and definitely capable of running a larger size in the twist drill bit market, or twist drill bit application. And in this traditional hole saw, it doesn't give me a maximum for that, but this is a 2.5 inch hole saw right here, and as long as you're not just like going after it, it cuts no problem. You can bog the machine down if you're going crazy with it, but you shouldn't be doing that anyways. It cuts super fast, and it's got plenty of power. You don't ever feel like you need to do that. If you're having to do that, your hole saw is probably junk. I use this 2-inch carbide cutter in there, which is very, very aggressive compared to a traditional hole saw, and it handled that as well. So I'm gonna have to assume that you could probably put a 2-inch annular cutter in here, and it'll probably do the job. You just probably have to be gentle with the feed. You don't want to go too crazy. Annular cutters, now that I've used them, are extremely aggressive. They almost sometimes feel like they want to feed themselves. They grab a hold tight and they just start digging, and they drill super fast. So You know, I don't want to speak out of place because I don't have any experience with using an annular cutter larger than the inch and 1/16. But if I had to be a gambling man, I would probably assume it can handle it. You know, handle more of it. Now, as far as the overall capabilities of the diameter of what it is that you're drilling, you have a limitation here because the base and where the drill actually drops down, you know, you're going to have clearance issues there. So this is 2.5 inches, and I would say that that's probably the maximum that you're ever going to be able to fit in there and still have room for the chips and whatnot to spin around and not just get ripped up in there and not have binding issues. So I'm not telling you to use anything higher than what Evolution's telling you to use, but I have, and it's worked out real well. So what else is there to talk about as far as the specs? I think I covered everything. Oh, no. The magnet, the magnet power, it's rated at 2,860 pounds of magnetic force. I've never popped it. You know, I don't have a way to judge that. I don't have like a hoist that can grab this with a, you know, with a tensioner that tells me, a gauge that tells me what kind of force is put on there. But it's strong. I've never had anything spin on me underneath it. You know, I've never popped it off while I was drilling. And I've even drilled with it not sitting flat. I've used this real world testing, and it's handled some stuff that is probably not designed for over the last couple of weeks, you know, and so I'm gonna assume that they're right with that. It says the minimum plate thickness that this is supposed to attach to is 3/8. Now, what we're looking at here is the bed of Project Tow Rig, and there's, I don't know how many sheets on here. There's 4 sheets of, what is that? 18 gauge? I think that's 18 gauge sheet. It's been so long since I ordered this metal, I'm not 100% sure. They're just stacked up on, you know, on the tube frame for the bed, and I've been drilling through 1/4 inch. I've been drilling through 3/8, just setting pieces on here and attaching it, and it's handled it. I do know when, with it being sitting on these plates, if I put a piece of 1/4 inch here and turn on the magnet, I can hear all the plates kind of like, you know, because of the dust and grit between them. I can hear them compressing them. So I'm going to assume that if you attach it to a piece of 1/4 inch plate, you'll probably be fine. How thin you'll go, it just, you know, you're going to have to try that out. To be perfectly honest with you, because it just depends also on what how big of a hole you're drilling, and you know, you obviously don't want to flip it upside down if you're trying to attach it to some sheet metal, because the weight of the unit will probably dislodge itself because it's not rated to handle that thin of a plate. It needs some bulk for that magnet to attach to. So that's it for the specs. Now, like I said, I've got some twist drill bits, I've got some annular cutters, I got the carbide hole cutter and the traditional hole saw. When I did my testing, most of it was real world testing. I did do a little bit of testing with the twist drill bits, just so I can see if it can handle that capacity. And my biggest reasoning behind it was, when I first used the annular cutter, I was so blown out of the water at the speed that I was able to blast through a 3/8 piece of plate. You know, I was just like, holy crap. I would have never been able to do that with with my drill press, even the 3-phase, you know, super big industrial drill press that we have at work with a traditional hole saw. I would have never been able to drill at that speed. Not even a little bit. Even when I was using the carbide hole cutter, I was like, no, it's not comparing apples to apples here. You know, there's just a massive difference in speed. So I was like, wait a minute. let me find out, is this an annular cutter issue or annular cutter advantage, or is this the mag drill performing really, really well? So that's why I tried the twist drill bits. That's why I used the traditional hole saw, and that's why I did some test cutting with the carbide hole cutter. And let me tell you, it's a little bit of both. The annular cutters are by far the fastest method of drilling that out of this set here. Leaps and bounds fastest. Now, using a 2.5 inch traditional hole saw, it is on the mag drill is significantly faster than using my stand-up drill press in the back of my shop and using that 3-phase industrial unit that we have at work. This thing just has a ton of torque, and is just it just pushes through stuff real easy, and very, very impressed with the power and performance of the mag drill itself. And it's not just an annular cutter thing, like I said. Even using the twist drill bits, the carbide hole cutter, the traditional hole saw, and the annular cutter, this thing just outperforms any drill press I have used. And as a result, I've been using it as much as I possibly can to avoid using my drill press in the back of the shop. So, let's talk about some things on here to show you this. We'll get you an up-close view of it. Okay, so on the back of it, you have, that's your on-off switch for your magnet. You got a fuse holder back here. You got a nice, sturdy, strong wire strain back here. I really like that, you know. And it looks like something that if you ever had an issue with this thing over the years, that you could probably easily change out the power cord to. There's an access cover here on the side. I'm sure if you took this off, you'd be able to get the power cord and reattach a new one if you ever had issues with that particular cord. This is the power cord that goes from the switch and the internals here up to the motor. So let's take a look at that. And again, you got a nice 90-degree hard plastic elbow, and this flexible. It looks a lot like I'm drawing blank on what the heck that stuff is called. Split seam, whatever, I don't know. The crap you use, wire loom, that's what it is. But it's not the split type. I mean, it's solid. Seems really good quality. It doesn't seem brittle at all. And same elbow that's there is on the drill. So now we have this switch here. This is the power switch for the actual drill. So you don't have just one power switch to turn on and the magnet turns on and everything turns on. Sometimes when you're drilling, you want that magnet to stay on all the time, and you may be turning on and off the power depending on what you're doing for the job. So that's why there's the two switches. So these handles here, they all unscrew, and they have their own specific spot in the case where they go. So when you store it away, you need to take the handles off. So that's nice. That plastic case is a really nice thing to have. And I'll show you guys that in a little bit better detail here in a little bit. But it allows you to store this thing away. Personally, I'm planning on eventually building a stand for it so that I could use it for aluminum and stainless, because I think it'd be fantastic to just kind of replace my stand-up drill press with this. And I've got a design in my head that would allow me to use this in so many other avenues other than just on my welding table or on the piece that I'm actually working on, whether it be project toe rig or whatever. If I build a stand where I can set this thing on there, turn the magnetic base on, then I have like a traditional floor drill press, you have the work area that moves up and down and rotates left to right. I believe I could create a deep throat on it that would allow me to drill pretty much anything I want on a stand basis, and then turn the magnet off, take the thing and use it as a portable unit as well. So that magnet feature is really awesome. It allows you to do both. if you're a little creative. So the slides here all seem to be very, very well built. They're nice and tight. You do have the ability to, obviously things like that wear over time. There are adjustment points in here so that you can tighten them up, and all of this stuff appears to be removable so that if you needed to, at some point clean this thing up or, service it, that you can get to those slides. So let's see if I can get you a better picture of that. Actually, I'm going to take off the 3-jaw chuck here so that you can see that area better. So to remove the 3-jaw chuck, or to put an annular cutter on here, you have 2 Allen set screws here. And this comes with all the Allens that you need. It is a slow process doing this, but it's strong, it's sturdy. This is a 3/4 inch shank, 2 flat spot style shank on here. That's what the annular cutters are, so that's what this chuck is designed for. Sorry about the focus here. Let's see if we can get this to focus better. There we go. So it also comes with, the 3-jaw chuck key. Comes with everything you need except for the annular cutters. Okay, so you see the slides there. You see the screws here on the side that allow you to adjust the tension on those. Now, I'm going to show you how far this actually moves. I'm going to slide this to the end of the work area here. I'm going to go all the way down with it. So that's all the way down as far as using the handles to turn it. Okay, now this is actually reverse thread, so I tend to always turn it the wrong direction. But what that does is loosen up the slide and allow this to drop down to that point, which is actually well below the magnetic base. And once you attach the cutter or the 3-jaw chuck, it's significantly lower. So this is very important, this adjustment here, because as you switch to different style drill bits and cutters, you need to have that ability to adjust that. And that slide goes from there to there. So it's extremely significant as far as that rise is concerned. I don't have a measuring tape here in front of me, but I mean, you see the difference there as far as like a whole hand length, and I got gigantic hands, so it's pretty significant as far as that adjustment there. And then to raise it up even more, you go up to there. So like again, it's pretty significant. If I lowered this down, that's the difference in rise between when this is all the way lowered, just using the crank. That's the rise and fall of this thing. So on the side of it, there's a depth indicator, but it's a millimeter. Being here in the US, it'd be nice if that was actually, I haven't even pulled this off of it yet. It'd be nice if that was standard in inches, versus millimeters. Just a kind of that's one of my complaints about it, is that I know Evolution Power Tools is a European company, and I understand why that's metric, and I understand that the rest of the world uses metric, but marketing it here in the US, it'd be nice to have that in a standard imperial style measurement for those of us that are stubborn and don't want to go to the metric system. So, I mean, I don't, oh yeah, let me show you this. This is the coolant system here. I don't use it, okay, and I'll explain to you why I don't use it. And it's not a design issue, it's just, I just choose not to use it. So, sorry about the camera. This attaches here to this Allen screw, and then you got to unscrew this from the bottle, and then it screws into there, okay? The hose is actually, that comes with it is actually longer than this. I cut it real short. I actually cut it too short. But it just pushes into there. It's a quick disconnect, push-in style connector. And you fill this up with oil. You have your on-off valve. It's a ball valve right there. And it feeds oil into the system and drops it down the center. Now this only works with the annular cutters. The reason I don't use it is simple, and it's just to avoid a mess. It's a lot easier and faster for me to just take, you know, my bottle of Tap Magic that I have here, open it up, and you'll see me use it in some of the testing, and then the real world usage, where I'm just putting enough of the fluid right there at the cutter and blasting through it, and I don't have to worry about this thing spilling and putting it away and getting the fluid out of there. I just don't have to worry about those things. So I don't use that because of that. It's just not practical for me. But some people want it, some people feel they need it. It's available, the system's designed to use it. So, this thing also comes with a guard right here. It attaches here to the base. It's got some butterfly screws, nuts, whatever there. It's there to protect the chips and everything so they don't come flinging out all over the place and potentially get you. It's got a little swing out door so that you can get in there. I'm never going to use that. You know, it's a safety thing. I'm never going to use it because I'm not always the safest person in the world when it comes to using my tools. But it's about speed and for me, just the quickness of actually using the tool, and I don't want to monkey around with that. But for those of you guys that need that safety feature, it does come with it. So, is there anything else to cover as far as that's concerned? I don't believe so. I believe I've covered everything as far as the specs and showing you guys off the drill. Just show you guys some of the footage of this thing in action and me using it for Project Pathfinder, and we'll wrap this video up. So for the sake of not dragging this out much longer than it needs to be, and it already is longer than it needs to be, we're just about 30 minutes, so I apologize for the length of the video. It is what it is though. If you guys want me to show you off all these features and show off these tools to the best of my ability, it takes a little bit of time. So bear with me. But for the sake of speeding things up, I'm only going to show you guys the hole saw, the traditional hole saw, the annular cutter in action, as well as the carbide cutter. As far as the twist drill bit's concerned and the silver indenting bit, I'm not going to show you that. Really don't even have any footage of it, to be perfectly honest with you. You're going to have to believe me that when I use those bits, and I use a 5/8 bit in my drill press, and then I use the 5/8 bit on the EvoMag42, that there was a significant difference in cutting speed. Very, very big difference in cutting speed. And I don't have any side-by-side comparisons. I don't think you guys really want to bear through those kind of videos. You're just going to have to trust me that it's very significant. This hole saw that I'm using on this is actually an old hole saw. It's the bottom of the barrel, Harbor Freight Warrior brand hole saw that's got run out. It's accurate enough for what I need to do though, and it keeps cutting, so I keep using it. I'm sure if I went out and bought a higher grade hole saw that this thing would cut much better than this one, but you know, like I said, this one works. What I'm drilling through right now is some 3/8 plate. I'm making some brackets or part of the truss that I'm building for Project Pathfinder on the front axle. I'm trussing the axle. If you guys don't know what that means, it's, essentially a bunch of metal on top of the axle to help reinforce it so that the housing doesn't bend when you start beating the hell out of it. So these pieces right here are where it attaches to the actual axle tubes. Um, it's 2.5 inch hole saw. The axle tubes are 2 3/4, but because I don't have a 2 3/4 hole saw, plus this drill won't allow for a 2 3/4 inch hole saw, this will work. I'm going to take it over to the angle grinder and shave off a little bit of the metal, and it'll go right on there just fine. I know because it's actually done. um, when it comes down to using, what would I prefer when using these doing these larger holes? I would actually probably prefer to use a traditional hole saw over an annular cutter or over a carbide cutter. The reason being is that this drill is really not rated to do holes this size. However, it can do it. And with the other two types of cutters, they're really aggressive. They tend to pull, whereas this one here, kind of scrapes the surface, and you can feed it and let the saw do its job, rather than, bogging down the motor. This here is the annular cutter. These things are so fast. This is 1/4 inch plate. I don't remember what the part was being used for. Probably some, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't even know the size of it. But you see, I mean, it cut through that like butter. It does create a big old steel wool nest like that, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's easy to clean up versus all those little sharp pieces that you get from the hole saw or the carbide cutter. So this is the slug that's left over. If you see the little dimple right in the center, that's not from the annular cutter. That's actually a locating punch that I use so that the annular cutter has a little alignment pin that recesses, that pushes up inside of the annular cutter as you start cutting. And it's like using a pilot drill and a carbide cutter like this one or the hole saw, but it's not a drill bit, it's just a little alignment pin that pushes up inside of it. This carbide cutter, I don't remember what size this is either. I believe this is 1 1/8, if I remember correctly. Now, what I want to show you on this is, I do not recommend doing this. This is something I should have done prior to building this part. What this is a shock tower for my coilovers on Project Pathfinder. And I was like, hey, this would look so much better if I drilled some holes in the side of it. So I decided to see if it would work. And I put the mag drill on there, and it seemed like it was holding onto it good enough, so I was going after it. But if you watch, as the video progresses, you will actually see the mag drill start lifting off the part. Not completely, but it does. Now what I don't show you is the third hole I drilled in here. It actually spun on me really hard, and luckily there's some sort of a safety feature built inside of this thing. It shut itself down as it spun. I don't know what set it off. It shut itself down though. And kind of twisted my arm. So luckily I didn't get hurt. That's why I don't recommend doing this kind of stuff. Plan out your build properly so that you're not taking risks like this. But in the future, I'll probably I know I will be building a stand for this and have a base plate where this the magnet can grab a hold of, that's maybe made out of some 1/2 inch plate. And then have an adjustable table for bigger parts like this that I could use it, so when a part is an afterthought, I'll be able to take care of that, as without it being a safety concern. So anyway, thank you to Evolution Power Tools for sending this out to me. It was been a tremendous help on my projects. I love it. I can't thank you guys enough for it. I can't recommend it enough to you guys watching this video. It's a great tool to add to your arsenal, and it's awesome. Thank you. Subscribe. comment, like. Remember to check out RoarkSupply.com. Use coupon code METAL to get 10% off your entire order. That's my thank you to you. Bye.